Good morning, everyone. It's almost 7 o'clock on the East Coast here. I'm Anne-Marie Green. Hope you're having a good Wednesday so far. You know who might not be having a great Wednesday? Steve Bannon. We begin this morning in Washington, where Steve Bannon, a former White House aide to President Trump, is one step closer to being held in contempt of Congress. The House committee investigating the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol unanimously voted last night to hold Bannon in criminal contempt for defying their subpoena to appear and produce records. The full House is expected to vote on the measure tomorrow, and if it passes, a criminal referral will be sent to the Justice Department to decide whether or not to press charges. So Laura Podesta is here with the very latest on this. Laura, good morning. You know, it's not the first time that individuals have chosen not to appear before a congressional committee when they have been asked to. But, you know, I think this is the first time, at least recently, that I've heard of the committee moving forward with, you know, some punitive action.
Anne-Marie, the House committee that voted to hold Bannon in contempt is made up of Democrats and Republicans. So clearly they're putting on a unified front and sending a message to other Trump aides who might have had information about the January 6th insurrection that you can't withhold that information if the committee asks for it.
Those in favor say aye. Aye.
The bipartisan House committee investigating the Capitol insurrection voted to hold Steve Bannon in contempt of Congress.
Left unaddressed, this defiance may encourage others to follow Mr. Bannon down the same path.
The committee views his testimony as critical, arguing statements he made on January 5th suggest foreknowledge about the violence that happened the next day.
All hell is going to break loose tomorrow. It's not going to happen like you think it's going to happen.
Bannon, a longtime aide to former President Trump, refuses to turn over documents or show up for a deposition. Mr. Trump has urged his top aides not to cooperate, something the committee says reveals volumes.
They suggest that President Trump was personally involved in the planning and execution of January 6th.
Tomorrow, the full House will vote on whether to send the resolution to the Justice Department, which could then decide to pursue criminal charges against Bannon.
Aye.
Maryland Democrat Jamie Raskin says other Trump aides are working with the committee.
A lot of people want to come forward and feel terrible about the role that they played.
Former President Trump filed a lawsuit to stop the release of key documents, but President Biden waived that executive privilege. Those documents could be released as soon as next month.
The panel has subpoenaed more than a dozen people, including former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Some of them, Anne-Marie, are already turning over documents and giving testimony.
So then this has to move over to the full House. How likely is it that tomorrow's full House vote on the resolution to hold Bannon in contempt will actually pass? And does the whole House need to support the measure or just the majority?
Just the majority, and it is likely to pass the Democrat-led House. And following passage, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi could certify the report for the U.S. Attorney's Office, which can then take it up to a grand jury for consideration. But let's emphasize, as we said before, this is exceptional. It is very rare for the Department of Justice to charge anyone with contempt of Congress. It has not been done since the Reagan administration that there's been a successful prosecution of the charge.
Okay, that is good to provide context, but let us say that it does move forward. You know, what are the possible consequences here? What sort of punishment could Biden face?
Well, I'll just pause briefly
not Biden,
to
sorry,
say
Bannon.
Bannon, yes, Bannon. So, yes, there are likely a lot of loopholes that Bannon and his attorneys are going to use in order to elongate this process and to continue to claim executive privilege because of Bannon's proximity to former President Trump. But if Bannon is tried and if he is convicted, well, the criminal offense of contempt of Congress, drum roll please, sets the penalty at not less than 1 month nor more than 12 months in jail and a fine of not more than $100,000 or less than $100. So again, unlikely that this penalty will be one that Bannon has to pay, but could spend a year behind bars ultimately.
Yeah, that is not insignificant at all. Laura, thank you very much.
Thanks.